don't need to worry about it anymore. And it's like, well, that's great, but that's the client's. What are you keeping so that our company is protected and has access back to the records that we created? So they've got that covered here with the SharePoint site. So one of the benefits that came out of doing this whole process was we had this SharePoint site for the project where we've got all this documentation loaded up, and we realized, hey, we can actually put in some of the training and indoctrination materials that we need our inspectors and project team members to be trained to. And so it's not just necessarily documentation, but we started uploading brief YouTube videos on things like, here's how you fill out your report. It can be things like, here's how you safely secure your gauge in your truck, or here's how you do this type of inspection. And so it opens up a lot of different ways to get information communicated to someone, and especially in small bites, so that you might have an inspector who's very familiar with the kind of work that they do. But again, we're on a project where we've got 15 different contractors, we've got all of these different agencies with their different ideas of qualification and what needs to happen. We can have cheat sheets so that they can go, okay, whose right of way am I in? Okay, I'm in their right of way. What are the things I need to remember about doing my work here? Here's a cheat sheet to help me get through it. And that's, well, see, I'm getting ahead of myself. Plans and specifications, we have those uploaded as references so that, again, our folks can go out onto the site. They can always, through this, access the most current set of plans and specifications, rather than the old days where you might show up with, you've got your paper copy of the plans and specs, and because of the way design is working nowadays in the digital realm, they're already 3 to 4 versions past you. So it really helps us to keep our guys able to keep up. So it's led to, again, I think just really much more efficient reporting. The big key for us was how do we not lose the consistency of the review process that we have built into the paper process that had just become part of the culture. I think we've got that with this electronic version. We've got reports, they're being secured to a central location. They're being secured so that they can't be inadvertently manipulated or erased. And we've got an easy way for our reviewers to get in and look at them, and we're able to restrict who can actually approve it to the people that should be doing the approvals, and not just anyone that manages to get into the SharePoint site. I think it's a really big thing to be able to successfully interface with the client. It's one thing to be able to provide your client with a report. It's a whole other thing to be able to provide them with a report that automatically fits into their filing system so that their document control person doesn't really have to worry about it. They just have to check to see that the transmittal came through, but it's all set. It's archived for them. And then consistency. Again, Kleinfelder is not the only agency doing inspection and test work. We've also got AMEC and CP. And so those are 2 external organizations. We need to make sure that on this project, all of the paperwork really flows as if it was all one organization. It can't be coming from 3 different entities that are doing test and inspection. So what are some challenges that we have discovered? We took this approach and actually have rolled it out on a nuclear construction project up at Los Alamos Lab. And some interesting problems almost immediately presented themselves when we talk about just the tablets. One is glare. Charlotte has a lot more overcast days than New Mexico. New Mexico has a lot of bright, shiny days. And even with the glare guards on the tablets, it can get to the point where it's so washed out that the technician can't see the screen to make use of. So that's been an interesting thing to deal with. Protective cases, they make a lot of sense. They're like the otter boxes you might have for your phone. That way you can drop it. But what we found with the protective cases is often they will cover certain ports that you might need to be able to get quick access to do things like, I don't know, power up your tablet, download data, etc., get it to communicate with other devices. And it can get real frustrating for someone if every day they have to peel the thing out of its protective case and then put it back in. So that's been an interesting thing. Connectivity, that was discussed. It's one thing to be in a metropolitan area where usually you can catch somebody's Wi-Fi signal if you're anywhere. Up at Los Alamos National Lab, there's very strict controls over how you can access the internet. You don't want to see hotspots popping up anywhere. But so what we've had to do is get air cards and get them registered with the lab so that they know, okay, if we see that pop up, they're not gonna send over the guys with guns and tell us to, drop our network. And then an interesting one, transporting the tablet around the work site. And this I find has sort of been a difference between those that are doing inspection and those that are doing test. Typically, if someone's going out to do an inspection, they're going to watch someone do some work. They might do some physical inspection of rebar or reinforced concrete, but they typically aren't carrying around, say, like someone who's going to do some concrete testing, a slump cone and a pail full with a mallet, some bars, as well as their air meter. So, it's already a two-hand job to do concrete testing. To ask that person now to take this delicate piece of digital machinery and, put it in their bucket and not get the thing knocked around sometimes is asking a lot. So I can't say that we've surmounted these challenges entirely, but they were just some things that I think are worth taking note. It's great to be able to use technology, but we also have to look at the realities of a project work site when we're doing it in the construction world. Things get dirty, things get broken. We need to be protected, but not so protected that we can't get into them when we need to charge the thing. Questions?
Now, the last screen was very interesting. What was the fix for the glare problem?
We're still working on that one.
Has anybody thought of having basically a transporting case cover that would unfold and form a shade
shield
over the screen, so you're typing in a little shade place?
I don't think anyone's tried that yet. It could work.
That's a common Mac. Among other things, some of the outer boxes come that way.
Okay.
Also, if you're willing to invest enough, if you go to one of the mill tablets, they do a lot better with the glare than an off-the-shelf one, but you're going to be $3,000 a tablet.
Yeah, convincing someone to give it a $3,000 tablet to someone who's going to be walking out onto a construction site, it's a hard sell.
But it's Los Alamos.
Doesn't matter. Well, they may get to charge us.
Why can't the inspector, if the construction industry is anywhere at all like the electronics industry, most of what you observe is going to be positive. It's not going to be reportable negative thing. Can't the guy, when the occasion arises, make some notes on paper and then go back to his vehicle, trailer, or wherever?
Well, that's often done, but that defeats the purpose of doing the one-touch efficiency. And now you're introducing in again the potential for transcription errors as well as time. I mean, now you're asking someone to fill something out on paper and then go back and fill it in again digitally, and we do their work. So the goal is to really drive towards, I do it one time, digital point of entry, and I'm done. I mean, that's something that we've had to do. We have cases where there's no way around it. They have to take notes and then go back, and in the truck where they've got some shade or protection, they type it in. But that's not what we want to strive for.
How about either in the tablet Dragon, or I'm trying to remember what the the Microsoft version of Siri is.
It begins with a C, that's all I remember.
14, thank you.
Using voice?
Yeah.
My only concern there would be just the amount of noise on a construction site.
The jackhammer goes in the background, we turn that all off.
Plus, it's probably very, you know, that autocorrect.
Yeah. Siri helps me so much with that.
So with respect to efficiency, were you able to calculate the efficiency gains or losses?
Largely the one that we just saw, and we didn't do any formal analyses, was literally just that we had proposed a 48-hour max time frame for delivery of records to the client, and that under a paper system would have been considered not possible. And the fact that we're able to meet that goal shows us that then it works.